It's been nearly 2 years since COVID drastically changed life as we knew it. And as I've noted before, one of the silver linings has been how the pandemic opened the eyes of many parents to the reality that public education has become public indoctrination. Now, that awareness has led to a growing movement of parents who have been standing up to school boards over the radical and inappropriate material and policies being infused into the classrooms. Now, unfortunately, while there has been much success, there's been a limit to what parents have been able to do in some parts of the country. And in fact, some are being ignored and turned away. But thankfully, there are elected officials that are stepping up. And one such official joins me now, Indiana State Representative J.D. Prescott, who has introduced a bill to protect kids in Indiana's public schools from obscene, racist, and anti-American materials, as well as COVID-related mandates. Representative Prescott, welcome to Washington Watch.
Tony, thank you for having me.
Now, as this pandemic started opening the eyes of parents, what have you been hearing from them?
What's been loud and clear is more and more parents are paying attention to what is going on inside the classrooms, and as they've been home seeing through Zoom and through other media platforms through the remote learning what their students are actually taking part in, parents are becoming more and more concerned about the materials that are actually being taught to their children. And I want to be careful and say too that I don't think this is in every classroom or every teacher is presenting this, but it only takes a small percentage of teachers to be presenting these divisive concepts and other obscene material to really cause damage within our school system and really push a liberal propaganda narrative, to be quite frank.
So, Representative, let's talk first about your bill, House Bill 1040, what it does, and then I want to talk about the impetus behind it. What prompted you to take this action?
Yeah, so it's a very comprehensive bill. First off, we define what divisive concepts are and ban them within the classroom. We also ban anti-American ideology from being taught and promoted within the classroom. We create a complaint process that goes through the local school corporations or through the Department of Education, then with overall review through the Attorney General's office in Indiana. And the enforcement mechanism is really key to making sure that the law that we pass here is actually a productive law that can really accomplish our goals of keeping this material out of the classroom. Without the enforcement aspect of it, then the law is meaningless if you can't enforce it. So that's a very key part of House Bill 1040, as well as we also have language in here to protect our students from COVID-19 mandates, mask requirements in the classrooms, and as long as quarantining of healthy students. So right now in Indiana, under Governor Executive Order, the schools have an option whether to follow a very strict quarantining requirement or have mask mandates, and that's last thing we do want to do is keep healthy students out of the classroom. I mean, we have such a high learning loss from COVID-19, from students being out of the classroom. So we want to make sure that these students remain in the classroom, and that any mask requirement or any mask being worn by a child it's up to the parent and the child, not the school corporation forcing them to wear that mask. So those are some of the big aspects in there. I know there's a few other key concepts, but due to our time constraints here, I'm just going to hit the highlights. But and then the biggest driving factor behind this bill has really been discussion with parents. As more and more people reach out to myself and my colleagues, and this isn't just my bill. Yes, I'm the primary author, but I've worked closely with a lot of my colleagues in the House and the Senate, and we've came together on this language. So it's not just parents from one portion of the state that's having those issues. This is really all over the state. So I just want to make sure that that's being addressed as well.
So we actually have quite a few radio stations and viewers on our television platforms there in Indiana. There's a couple of questions along those lines. What are the prospects of the measure going forward?
So right now, I do not have a commitment for a committee hearing on House Bill 1040, but I have also been working with Representative Tony Cook on House Bill 1134. It is a very similar bill to this. It did not start out quite as similar, but we've been able to put a lot of the key concepts of House Bill 1040 into House Bill 1134, and that does have a committee hearing next Monday morning at 8:30 in our House Education Committee. So I will be there listening to committee testimony. There was a similar Senate bill filed 167. Senate Bill 167 was heard yesterday. They had 8 hours of testimony. So I am very confident we are going to accomplish most of our goals. It's just I want to make sure that we get the best bill possible, and because I want to make sure that we are doing all we can to protect our Hoosier students.
So final question for you, Representative Prescott. What can our viewers and listeners do to help?
Reach out to your state representatives, state senators, let them know that that this is an issue that we need to be addressing during this session of the General Assembly, as well as let the governor's office know that you want him to sign the bill that we pass out of the General Assembly. So the governor will still have to either sign or veto any piece of legislation that we pass. So I'm very confident that we will get this accomplished. And another key aspect that goes along with this bill, it's not part of this bill, but another bill that's going to be heard in our House or on our House Elections Committee on Tuesday, is our school boards. We're also going to be looking at moving school boards to partisan elections. School boards are wanting to be more and more political lately. So I think the voters want to know whether they where their school board members stand. So we'll also be looking at making those partisan elections as well.
All right. Representative Prescott, thanks so much for joining us, and appreciate your leadership on these issues that are important not only to parents and children in Indiana, but important to parents all across the country.
Thank you, and thank you for keeping the voters informed.